Alright, young world. How everybody feeling? It's your boy, Vault Boy Vague, and I'm back with another video. And tonight we are back with the Titanic and OceanGate Titan connection again. And of course, this is part 2. And I said I'll be coming back with more. Like I told y'all, right? So today, y'all, man, I was at work. And shout out to my guy, True Crime Report. Make sure y'all subscribe to True Crime Report. So I'm at work, I'm listening. Boom. Something comes across my mind. Now, like I was thinking, right, y'all, I say, damn, something don't sit right about these people going in this submersible submarine dying. Especially, I'm looking at interviews of these guys, Hamish Hart, Pt2, Gillette. If you go look at interviews of these guys speaking before that incident, if it was ever an incident, these guys knew. They knew, man. Ain't no way they gonna hop in that tuna can and just throw their life away like that. I done read comments from people. I done seen people say, well, maybe PH was depressed. Maybe. But I still don't think he was, willing to give his life away like that. And maybe so. Maybe I can be wrong. But you know what PH said? One thing that stuck out to me, man. And they asked Mr. PH, a guy asked him, he said, because PH been down to the Titanic wreck over 37 times. And if he would have made it this time, it would have been his 38th. So a guy asked him, what's so much of the big deal? PH said, every time you go down there, you find out something new. You hear me? PH said, every time you go down there, you find out something new. Now, that's the key word right there, y'all. Finding out something new. It's a lot of people that don't want you to find out something new. So now I'm thinking, y'all, and I'm listening. I'm gonna let y'all listen to these audios as well. PH used to work for another submersible company called Trident. And like I told y'all on part 1, Google Trident. This is the thing. What happened with PH and Trident? What happened? Like, why did he switch from Trident to OceanGate? Because if y'all was to look at Trident, I don't know nothing about submarines, but you could tell that company is on point. You know who have shares in Trident? I was watching an interview and he said he had shares in Trident. James Cameron. Y'all get where I'm going with this? Y'all get where I'm going with this? Now, mind you, Stockton Rush's wife is related to the Strausses. And the Strausses are the owners of Macy's. They had buku money back then. Like I told y'all with JP Morgan and the Federal Reserve. You don't think Stockton and his wife had many a conversations at night laying in the bed about the Titanic in which they thoughts of what happened? Right? Put yourself in their shoes. Now, not only you wondering, you got the money, power, and privilege to go down there and possibly find out. So, this guy, Stockton Rush, gets into these submersibles and supposedly he started making trips down to the Titanic. A lot of times he didn't make it. Sometimes they said he did. I don't know. Okay. But then again, I'm kind of believing he did because, like, this theory I'm opposing is like he had to make it down there. And my thing is maybe somebody else took these guys out. Y'all ever notice how we never get video of anything of this submarine with them people? The closest thing I have seen was like a picture, and they had the camera in the front, and it looked like it was looking at the Titanic. Y'all know what I'm talking about? That's like the closest one I've seen to like people being in a submarine and actually being down there, the Titanic. The videos I seen when they was inside of that submersible, they couldn't even get off the platform. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's take a listen at this audio. This is a true crime report reporting on PH Knocker.
Thing I want to say is that when Arnie Wiseman asked PH why he kept returning to the wreck, 37 visits, he died on the 38th. He answered, each time is totally different. You always see things you've never seen before. Well, on his 38th dive, PH did see something he'd never.
Y'all hear that? You hear that? Let's take it back. Take it back. Pay attention.
37 visits, he died. The last thing I want to say is that when Arnie Wiseman asked PH why he kept returning to the wreck, 37 visits, he died on the 38th. He answered, each time is totally different. You always see things you've never seen before. Well, on his 38th dive, PH did.
You always see things you never seen before. Now I know Heyman Hart has been, a venture guy, billionaire. I've been trying to do some background and see if anybody got any grudges against him. Did he take anybody off? I can see where possibly people wanting to, Now, this another thing. Y'all know that the Titan submersible. Rothschilds also supposedly had something to do with the Titanic sinking. So how we don't know if Rothschilds didn't want Stockton to keep taking people down there and even going down there himself and finding out something that they didn't want him to find out. And maybe they, got next to somebody in the circle. I mean, listen, this is a thought, but it ain't far-fetched.
Did see something he'd never seen before. He'd not seen it coming, even though, like Stockton, he'd been warned and likely also felt insulted perhaps by those warnings.
Yo, check this photo out. Like, yes, Jadakiss said it best. Jadakiss said a picture speaks 1,000
Likely
words.
also.
Look at this picture, gang. Does that look like a man of confidence? I mean, just looking at his face and looking up, like, what? Listen, if he was in the ocean, what are you looking up at? It ain't nothing but total darkness. You can't see the sun. He's looking like he's saying, man, I done fucked up. Lord, what have I done? Right or wrong?
Felt insulted perhaps by those warnings. Pride comes, as they say, before the fall. In PH's case, sometimes it's important to speak up, even if it's not really your business to. When he was asked what good is it being down there in a defective sub, he said he might be able to steer them out of danger. But another way to do that was on the surface, before getting in.
Now you hear that? The bull told him, the guy that he's supposedly talking to is the owner of the Triton. Triton and OceanGate don't get along. That's another thing. So why would PH go over to OceanGate when he was with Triton? You understand what I'm saying, y'all? Like, what did Triton do to PH? And I'm gonna also let y'all hear an audio where as though they were saying something like on his lab's dives, like whereas though if PH wasn't doing what he's supposed to do. So you can tell that something went on over there between Triton and PH. And next thing you know, PH show up, with Triton enemy. Come on, gang. That ain't some backdoor street, but political type, you know what I mean?
And so my question is this. Wasn't PH Nargile, besides Stockton Rush, wasn't he in the best position to decide to scrub Mission 5? Others like David Pogue and Arnie Wiseman saw the signs. Why didn't he? And I think the answer is that cyclical failures are subtle, and the very nature of them is that you are able to do one more dive. And again, you can do maybe one.
Yeah. And then you could do one more dive. And then again, one more dive. And then again, another dive. But nah, you can't do it. It don't go like that. Let's check out this audio right here. Shout out to my guy, True Crime Support. Make sure y'all subscribe. Also, make sure y'all subscribe to Coalition TV. And make sure y'all hit that like button for me too. Please, thank you. Love y'all.
Have additional context in place, let's replay that statement from the Triton CEO, Patrick Leahy. For the Five Deep's crew, Nargile's legacy is complicated by the circumstances of his final dives. Now, that's quoting from the New Yorker.
Now, that's Patrick Leahy. The guy is talking about Patrick Leahy was from Triton. Okay. Patrick, he's telling you about what Patrick Leahy was telling PH. Now listen about his final dives.
CEO, Patrick Leahy. For the Five Deep's crew, Nargile's legacy is complicated by the circumstances of his final dives. Now, that's quoting from the New Yorker. Now, this is what Leahy says. I had a conversation with PH just as recently as a few months ago. He told me I kept giving him shit for going out there. And I think what he means by that is going out there with OceanGate. He said, PH, by you being out there, in brackets with OceanGate, you legitimize what this guy is doing. Which guy? Stockton Rush. It's a tacit endorsement. Tacit endorsement of what? Of this defective submersible. And worse than that, I think he's using your involvement with the project, meaning I think Stockton is using you, PH Nargile, your involvement with the Titan and these trips to the Titanic, and your presence on the site as a way to fucking lure people into it. And doesn't that sound like that does actually make sense? And so the question is, how did Nargile reply to this? If it does make sense, if it is true, if there is an element of truth in it, what did Nargile think
Now listen to what Nargile answer was.
about it when he was confronted with it? And his response was, I'm getting old. That's his response. I'm getting old. I'm a grieving widower. And you know what? If you've got to go, that would be a good way to go instantly. So he seems to be.
So it's like all these dudes almost knew. Like they was talking like it was though it was already over for him. You know what I'm saying? Like days before. And let me mention another thing that popped up into my head, y'all. Mind you, they said the dive that the Titan did before this dive, right? They said that PH, Stockton Rush, and I guess whoever else was with him got stuck on the bottom of the ocean for 3 days. Why wasn't no rescue squad out then? But when they got stuck on there this time, they didn't even get stuck. When they didn't resurface at the 10 hours, they called off a massive search. Why you call off a massive search in 10 hours if, you know what I mean? Like the ride before that, they got stuck down there for 72 hours. Maybe they got stuck again. Maybe they're going to pop back up. Why they didn't do it then? See, and that's what makes me think like they done sent the little dummy down in there. They probably sent that other joint, Cyclops 1, and blew that joint up. And Lord knows what they probably ran and hid, gang, because they probably know them boys on their head. Or this was all planned by the Rockefellers, because y'all know that if it wasn't Stockton dad, it was his granddad who founded the Boys Bohemian Club in California. And if you know, you know. I ain't even gonna tell you. If you know, you know. And you think a person coming from that regime and bloodline don't know to play around with that type of pressure? No. This guy built aircrafts and stuff, and although gravity in the ocean is totally different, but they still both dangerous things to play with. You don't want to get stuck out in either one of them alone, do you? Facts. These cats is playing games with us. For what? I don't know why. I mean, I think one reason is because they don't want nobody to find out the truth about this Titanic. And there's some other stuff. I don't know, man. I'm trying to find things about Harden because I don't know too much about Harden. Besides him, going down to the Mariana Trench and all that type of stuff, and him just being a wealthy man. And did y'all see his stepson? Huh? He didn't look too worried. This guy was on Twitter at rock concerts. I tell you who else didn't look too unbothered, and I understand everybody grieves in a different way. Go look at the interview. What's their name? Suleiman, the father and the son, the mother and the wife. Go look at that interview. Does she look like she been like, yo, when you lost a husband and a son same time on some like bottom of those shit? You really think you got the energy to do an interview, gang? Huh? Like in the first few days or hours, do you think you got the energy for that? Pay attention to what's going on, man. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, man. Come on, man. And I'm going to tell you something else to pay attention to. These dudes who always predicting something. Let's get into this dude. Mike Reeds, writer of The Simpsons. And why did The Simpsons predict the Titanic too? Let's get into this.
It was certainly zero surprise to me.
Monday.
Oh.
Loud noise consistent with an implosion event. I let all of my inner circle of people know that we had lost our...
Back in 1997, James told E.T. about the dangers involved. His words are eerie as we now know the 5 passengers likely died instantly in the sub's implosion.
One little pinhole leak in the submarine would fill it with water instantly and kill you in about 2 microseconds.
James has even more links to the second Titanic tragedy. The dive pilot was his friend of 25 years, the French explorer Paul-Henri Narzelet. The widow of the CEO killed was related to the real-life couple depicted in this famous scene from Cameron's film. And here's another Hollywood connection going viral. This episode of The Simpsons from 17 years ago seemed to predict the tragedy.
Searching for treasure with my long-lost son. Homer, look!
A father and son, submersibles, the wreck site, the loss of oxygen. This is just the latest example that seems to prove the show somehow knows the future. Pre-COVID, this episode depicted the attack of an airborne virus without a vaccine.
We need a cure! We need a cure!
If you've been on for 3 decades, probably you're gonna hit it once in a while.
Don't panic. Just come up with a good story.
No one walks into this surprised.
And get this, a former Simpsons showrunner took a dive last year on the Titan.
I was supposed to go with my wife. I kissed her goodbye, knowing that might be the last time I'd ever seen her.
But adding to the heartbreak today, 19-year-old Suleiman Dawood was apparently terrified to take the trip with his dad, but did it as a Father's Day present. His aunt finds solace that neither suffered.
And let me tell y'all another thing. I don't even play around with roller coasters. Nigga, you know me. Even if I did want to go on the Titanic, whatever it's called, expedition, I ain't letting my kids go, man, unless they grown. They have to be grown and be able to make decisions on their own. I will not take them, and anything go wrong, I guess I ain't gonna be able to feel bad because we all will be dead. But man, if it's after like I'm fucked up, you feel me, gang? I don't want that on my show. There ain't no way, because I feel like no one can guarantee you no safety in the ocean. I don't care what type of vehicle you're in. Yeah, you might be more safer in his vehicle than his vehicle. I would say that for sure. But to say like guarantee you like just full safety, no. The ocean might just snap, gang. And if it's snap, and you know what I mean? It snap them little submersibles too.
To know that my Sully didn't feel a moment's pain, that his brain didn't even realize.
How do she know Sully didn't feel no pain? How y'all don't know if these cats, they might have known that shit was coming, gang. Yeah, they might not have felt it because it probably just happened. Bang! We don't even really know if that was the case. I mean, I guess it was the case. I don't know, gang. I don't know. Yo, I tell you what. Did any of them debris had the Titan on it? I ain't see Titan on none of them debris, man. Let's get into that too. Because there could have been Cyclops. Cyclops and Titan look just alike. It's like Titanic and Olympia.
That's a relief.
You're supposed to be right next to the phone waiting to hear any updates about me.
I'm not like rocking out or whatever they're trying to accuse me of doing.
And remember the flack British billionaire Hamish Harding's stepson got for attending a Blink-182 concert during the search? Well, yesterday, Brian Zoss shared a DM he says drummer Travis Barker sent him on Monday, which reads, "Praying for you and your family."
I really appreciate the love and support. It's not about me.
That was the stepson of Hamish Harding. Yeah, I don't believe them dudes. I don't believe them dudes climbed in there. I don't know why they picked these dudes. Same, just like with the Titanic, man. But my grandma used to always tell me, man, what's in the dark must come to the light, and what's in the rock and what's in the wash must come out in the rains. We're going to take a look at this last video, y'all. And I'm going to slide on up out of here. And I'll be back with part 3 with more. Because I got a lot to talk about this, man. This is right up my alley, man. Trust me. Remember I told y'all, because it's going to come back. Y'all be like, yo, Vague said that shit. Son ain't right with this. That's all I'm going to say.
Your experience, was it smooth, pardon the phrase, was it smooth sailing? Or were there issues?
It was smooth sailing to the point where I got on the submarine and it just drops for 2.5 hours.
Now, this is the writer of Simpson show. Look at this goofy. And just listen to the things he's saying. Look at him. I know he ain't do it. But he looked. I'd have sent that goofy down there by his goddamn self.
Hours. It takes 2.5 hours to go 2.5 miles down. And I fell asleep. I mean, if you want to hear a man.
Look, listen, he fell asleep. He comfortable. He knew the shit wasn't blowing the fuck up when he was on there. He know they got his back. But the minute he got the fuck off, boom. See, I want to know why they set that daddy off on now. There's something about them men that was in there. The boy got caught up being with his dad. He should have followed his gut. I'd have saluted my dad on Father's Day. I love you. I'm gonna watch you go down in that joint, but I ain't going nowhere. And like I said, go look at the mother. Don't you think? And the mother was supposed to be on the submarine. That would make her. I know that would make you. You know, that's like survival remorse from the door. I'm hurt. How the fuck she ain't hurt? Man, they ain't. But I don't know where they at. Where's Wendy Rush?
Not panicky. I had a beautiful nap on the submarine, and it's a very shocking experience to wake up from a nap and think you're in bed, and no, you're in a tube 2 miles down under the ocean. But I woke up when we touched bottom, and then we had to spend the next 2.5 hours just sailing around the ocean floor looking for the Titanic. We knew it was there. We knew it was 500 yards away, but it was complete darkness, and we had no real guide. And so we just sailed for hours, and at any moment, you know, you only get 3 hours on the bottom of the ocean, and it's nothing to do with oxygen or supplies. They just have to get you back to the surface while there's still daylight. So 2.5 hours in, they're about to just wrap the whole mission, and we wouldn't have seen the Titanic. And we really just stumbled on it. It popped into view, and we literally only had enough time for the Instagram experience. You know, it's not what we all went for. You know, these are not tourists who are doing this. These are explorers and people who are curious about the world. So I didn't get the full experience. I got the photos.
Can you describe for people, like, is it pitch dark? Like when you woke up and they said, all right, we're on the bottom. Can you see anything, or is it just pitch black?
It is complete blackness. And, you know, they keep the sub itself very dimly lit. It's really...
That nigga ain't never been to a motherfucking Titanic, damn. Peep how this nigga keep looking out in the corner of his eye like it's somebody over there telling him what the fuck to say. He ain't never been there. Listen, I don't care what y'all say. Ain't too many niggas getting trying to do that again. That is one scary ass shit. You hear me? Fucking with that ocean and leaving off this planet. That's some shit I ain't never doing, gang. I don't give a fuck what's going on out there and down there. Guess what? God don't want me up there, because if he did, he would have made me with wings or something beyond wings to even be up there in space. And he don't want me down there in that water because he didn't make me a part of that life. So I don't even know what the fuck is going on. If y'all want to play around with that shit, you know, that's fine. I'm all for it. Explore. But that's what comes with it too. Implore.
Almost a spa experience. You're just laying on the floor. There's no furniture. And you're in this state. You're scared, but you're also very relaxed and you're excited. It's amazing. You hold these three emotions at once. But they tell you before you go on, they go, we've got food on board, we've got water on board, and we have a toilet. And you'll see it's 10 hours. It's a 10-hour trip, and you won't use any of them. And for 10 hours, I never thought about even taking a sip of water. And the toilet they have on board the sub has never been used.
I wonder why. Out of all these goddamn times this guy done went supposedly down to the Titanic, nobody never used the toilet. 10-hour trip. Nobody never pissed. Nobody never shit. You know what that says? Nobody wasn't in the bitch. Have a blessed night, man. I'm out. See y'all back. Part 3. Please make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. This dude is funny. This Simpson dude, man, let the rest play out.
The one scary element of the whole voyage is the idea that to go back up, they push a lever that releases these lead weights. And the weights fall off, and then you bob to the surface like a cork. And that's how simple the whole trip is. You sink like a stone, and then you bob up like a cork. And I just thought if something goes wrong with that lever, that switch, and doesn't release the lead weights, I don't know what else you can do. You're just stuck. You obviously can't get out of the sub.
You're done, nigga.
Was there ever a communication problem that you had in your experience between what was going on inside the sub, trying to contact people
at the surface?
At the surface?
There is, I must say, I took 4 different dives, 3 in New York Harbor, and then the one to the Titanic. And there were always communication issues. You would lose contact sporadically, and it's nothing I...
Now, again, you hear him? You can talk about something. It was always communication issues. Gang, the first time I go down there and it's issues, because I don't be seeing the Navy having issues. Why the fuck the Navy don't have issues? They be playing around talking in the water. Ain't nobody else like James Cameron. He was able to talk. This dude went back down there 3 more times. And y'all saying God was with him, right? Okay.
Blame the sub for, I blame deep water for it. It just seems to go with the territory, that communication would go in and out. And then there was also, literal communication was a problem, where when we were looking for the sub, when we were looking for the Titanic, we were getting all this advice from the surface going, turn left at this rock. And we would go, there is no rock. They kept feeding us information that didn't correspond to where we were exactly.
There's a simplicity to this.
They said the niggas up top told them to turn at the rock. I'm dead, yo.
This submersible, where they use a gaming console as
steer it.
Yeah, to direct it. When you saw that, I'm just wondering what you felt. I mean, because for a lot of people, they're thinking, "Oh my God, this is a video game, and we're going down to see the Titanic."
Yeah, I know everyone's focused on the detail, and it makes them think, "Oh, this was a real rinky-dink operation." But that is one of the prime assets, I think, of the whole sub, is just how simple it was. That, I mean, they even let me steer and navigate around, which was an amazing experience. But it's that simple, and you don't want it overly complicated. There was never a moment where I go, oh, there's a bunch of computers and machinery going here that I don't understand. The propulsion on it was literally just 2 propellers that look like a fan you put on your desktop on a hot day.
Walk us through it. I mean, tell us how you decided to do it and what the experience was like.
I did it because my wife made me. My wife loves to travel, and I love my wife. And if I want to go on a vacation with her, I have to do it at the North Pole or North Korea or on the Titanic. And that's why we took this trip. We knew the company. Someone had read about OceanGate and said, this sounds right up your alley.
He said we took the trip. Then the nigga just said he ain't take his wife, he kissed her. Peep the lies. Now he calling them OceanGate. And look at his eyes. Look. It's like the Satan is sitting in a corner looking at him on fire. And he looking like I fucked up.
And so we took some of their initial test dives off of New York City, off of Hudson, in Hudson Canyon, off of Staten Island. We went 1,000 feet down with Stockton Rush in an earlier sub. And it was only when we came back, he said, you're the first people to do that. And I go, wow, I did not expect to be Neil Armstrong of the Hudson Canyon. A couple of years later, he had developed his Titanic sub, which was much sturdier, much tougher, because we were going 13 times as deep.
That shit popped.
And we signed on for it, and
the other
we were one
one's
of the
still
earlier
here.
missions. And it's an amazing experience, obviously, but it surprises you in that you're scared. The threat of death is constantly hanging over you. People have focused on the waiver you signed.
Now, hold on. I thought he had an amazing nap, and then they woke up, he was down at the bottom. Now he talking about death constantly on his mind. Listen, man. These dudes be lying, gang. Pay attention.
Before you even get on the boat that's taking you to where the sub is going to drop you. And the waiver is really 100 ways to die. Stockton Rush had thought of every single way this trip could kill you. And it's not like you needed to be told that. Everyone knew,
no bullshit.
This was not Disneyland. This was not a roller coaster. It was scary, and it was not a sure thing.
Did they say anything, or did the waiver say anything about the peril of hitting the floor and possibly getting entangled where it can't come back up?
It is a very soft landing. I mean, it's, you kick up a little sand, and it's soft down there. And there's really nothing on the bottom of the ocean to get stuck on. I mean, I guess a lot of people have said, do they go into the Titanic? Could they be trapped in the stateroom or on the stairway? No, you don't go in it. You just go around it and on top of it. And there's really nothing to get hooked on.
Look when he said, no, you don't go inside. You just go around it, because they don't want them people doing too much to that boat down there. You never was supposed to find it. You're playing games, boy. See, Stockton, I think Stockton, he done did some shit. Stockton been fucking around with somebody. He ain't no business. Now, we ain't been hearing nothing from Wendy. Where Wendy been at, y'all? What's Wendy doing?
Everything's in the waiver, but was there ever any discussion about what could happen as you go down in terms of entanglement?
I'm sure that's in the waiver somewhere, but beyond the Titanic, there was really nothing down there. It's 2.5 miles down, and there's not seaweed, there's not coral, there's not fish, there's nothing there.
What are your thoughts about what you're seeing right now? I mean, at least one of the people there. I'm curious what you've been thinking about.
It's unbelievable. I know if they're down there, if they're alive, if they're even in a no-win situation, I'm sure there's just calm. There's utter calm to it because that's how I felt during the whole mission. You're in this.
Now he calm. First, this nigga was asleep. Then death was always on his mind. Now he was always calm.
Special kind of state in a special place. And again, they're so lucky that they're there with Stockton, who's as in control and as.
That nigga said they so lucky they there with Stockton. Look at this dude. Look at this dude keep looking.
Calm. There's utter calm to it because that's how I felt during the whole mission. You're in this special kind of state in a special place.
The guy looking down.
And again, they're so lucky that they're there with Stockton, who's as in control and as in focus as anyone I've ever met. When I made the trip, I took a pad of paper and a pen, knowing the worst might happen. I might be stuck down there. I might die, marooned with 4 days of oxygen. And I brought the pad and paper. I said, I'm going to write jokes. I'm going to write jokes.
Who the hell gets on anything and they think they're going to die? This was Titanic and OceanGate Titan connection part 2, man. I got to go to sleep on that one, man. I got to get up and get to the money, man. Part 3 coming tomorrow, man. This dude the fool, man. Y'all have a blessed night, man. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, man. And join me next time I go live, man.